And Jeremy Crawford here, filling in for Matt Menzel on today's Falcon Focus. Matt Menzel's Cal Ripken-esque streak of hosting this show is over, and it is now a good old time to talk the hockey game. We're talking playoff hockey here with Beau
Yep.
and women's hockey assistant coach Kristen Chivers today. Beau, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So, can you talk a little bit about your hockey journey that you've had growing up?
Yeah, of course. I come from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, so a bit far from here. But I grew up. I played at North Shore Winter Club back in Vancouver up until I think about grade 9, and then grade 10 I played midget, and then fortunate enough in grade 11 I was able to play juniors. So I moved out of the house when I was 16, and I played juniors in BC from when I was 16 to 20, and then I finished up my junior career in Estevan, Saskatchewan. And then I was lucky enough to be recruited here where I knew a couple guys, so it was nice to have some familiar faces, and then that's kind of how I got here.
So you touched on it a little bit. What's it like going through the junior route, leaving home at such an early age where most kids don't really get out of the house really till they're 18, if that. So what is it like kind of just moving out and just dedicating your life to hockey?
Yeah, no, it's definitely not a traditional route for the average kid, but I mean you get out of the house, you learn to cook meals and do your laundry and all that kind of stuff that usually maybe your parents would take care of. You learn a bit at a bit younger age. But I think the biggest thing for me was I valued my time with my family a lot more. I think is one of the biggest things I learned. Like I said, I've been out of the house for 8 years now. So at Christmas time and in the summers, I really cherish those times when I go home. But yeah, no, I mean, I went to three different schools in high school, which is probably a bit more than some other kids. But you get to meet a lot of people. A cool way to travel. I mean, for me, Canada, it was a cool way to see different provinces and just kind of learn a bit in every town you go to.
You talked a little bit about it in your opening question. What really led you to CUW? I know there's a ton of BC kids on the roster, all for like half of the roster's from Victoria. So
Yeah, yeah, no. I played against a couple kids growing up, and then one kid that was here, Dante Hahn. I played with him for 2 years, and then when I believe it was Jimmy Jensen phoned me when I was in Estevan, Saskatchewan, who's no longer here. But he reached out and he said, "Hey, like I know you've played with a couple of these guys. If you want to phone and ask some questions and stuff." So I got on the horn with a couple of the guys and just kind of got the lowdown on the school, the city, and just the program in general. And I mean, it was kind of a no-brainer after talking to them.
So we'll touch a little bit on this. You host your own show on the social media platforms for the men's hockey team. But a question you've asked, and I kind of want to know your answer. Why did you choose your number here?
Well, personally, I was going to choose number 29. At the time, Dakota Delbridge was wearing that number, so I couldn't wear it. But honestly, I usually pick my number after maybe my favorite goalie. So like Marc-Andre Fleury is my all-time favorite goalie. But I'd say number 2 is probably at the time was Braden Holtby, who was wearing 70 in Washington, who ended up winning the cup. So I love the way he played. So I thought, why not wear his number?
So yeah, growing up, obviously there's plenty of great goalies in the NHL. Did you always just imagine being a goalie, or when did you really think that like, oh, I really enjoy being a goalie?
Yeah, I mean, when you're younger, I think it's probably grade 1 or grade 2. You kind of everybody rotates through positions. So you're one game you're forward, one game you're D, one day game you're goalie. And I remember I was goalie one night, and I had the most fun I've ever had playing hockey, and it was so exciting. And then we had a game the next day. My dad was actually the coach at the time, and I begged my dad. I was like, hey, the kid that was supposed to go in goal actually was sick, so I was like, Dad, can I go goalie again? He's like, if everybody on the team says it's okay, like, and you don't skip any turns, then it's fine. So then I played. Everybody was like, yeah, that's fine. So I played a second game, and I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. Like, this is all I ever want to do. So that's kind of what got me hooked.
So growing up, who were kind of your rooting interest in for hockey, player wise or team wise?
I mean, I remember from a very young age, my parents, I was lucky enough they would take me to Vancouver Canucks games. And I just think like the whole thing, the sights, the sounds, the atmosphere was just like, I think I just fell in love with it at such a young age, and I was this is the dream. Like it doesn't get much better than this. So I mean, just like watching, like I grew up watching Roberto Luongo. I thought he was the coolest guy. you'd watch interviews. He seemed like the nicest guy, very down to earth, and I was like, I want to be like that someday.
So talking to the Canucks, they a few years back
Yep.
they were very close to winning the cup.
Yep.
It's been a while since a Canadian team has won the cup.
Yeah.
What is your pick? Who's your pick for being the next Canadian team to win the cup?
Oh, well, I might have to give a shout out to my best friend who plays on Winnipeg. So I'm rooting for Winnipeg right now. They're kind of my team because I want my buddy to succeed. It would be awesome to see Vancouver, but I don't think this year is going to be that year. But I think an underrated pick that people don't see coming. I think Montreal's got what it takes. I think if they put everything together at the right time, I think they might be a dangerous team.
I'm a Senators fan, so I think it's a little bit of a while off for that to happen. But so you talked about you knew some players here. What really made you think CUW is the place for me?
I mean, when I first started looking at universities to go play Division 3, I mean, like it looked like just in general, I wasn't very educated on like Division 3 when I first started looking, but like there was so much competition in Wisconsin for like hockey and stuff. Other than like knowing guys on the team, the year before I came, CUW had been quite successful. I think it was their best year to date in program history. So just seeing that I had the opportunity to come into a competitive environment, maybe get a couple games, learn some stuff, and then hopefully by the end of my 4 years win a national championship, I thought that this school is definitely the best fit for that.
Talking about trying to get some games in, you've gotten a lot of games in your career. You're on top of a lot of the goalie categories and at the top of a few. What's it really been like? I know you're in your junior year, but reflecting upon your growth within this program.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I was fortunate enough. I mean, not fortunate enough for the goalie at the time, Nick Malvin, but he was a senior my freshman year and ended up dealing with some back issues that kind of didn't let him play his senior year. So for me, I was fortunate enough to get the opportunity to see some net and just kind of learn. I mean, when I talked to the coach at the time, Jason Wise, he said, like we weren't expecting to have you play 20 or 25 games out of the year. But I mean, just go out there, do your best, learn, and just kind of grow. And I mean, just as being such a young guy playing so many games, I thought that I was put into a leadership role at a young age, or not a young age, but as a class. And I just felt that like as a person on and off the ice, it helped me develop a lot. Just kind of being able to take responsibilities. If you're in every game, like you can talk about it instead of sitting on the bench, kind of thing.
Talking about growth, the program has also grew in your time back to the top. And last weekend, you guys clinched your first ever division title.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that, by the
Thank you.
way. But what's it like? I know I've been here as long as you've been here as well. There's been a lot of ups, there's been some downs,
Yeah.
and like you guys continued to move forward. And then this year, you finally were able to break through and get that title.
Yeah. I mean, like we were looking at it like this year was kind of the same as last year. Honestly, we had a slow start. I think we started like 1-5 or 2-6 or something like that, and this year the same thing, like 1-7. But I just think it speaks to the program and kind of the guys that have been brought in. At no point has anybody ever really given up. Like obviously we've been discouraged and that kind of stuff, but no, like we've never given up. Like from a 1-7 start, we finished 9-11, which is a crazy turnaround. So like 8-4. But I mean, it's been the same thing both years. Everybody's just kind of known that even though we're in the dirt, like there's room to improve, and I think we all just like as the season goes on, get more comfortable with one another. We come together as a group more. And again, I think we grow and mature as a group instead of individuals.
So when do you think that it started to really click for you guys? You said you were very honest about it. The beginning of the year was probably
Mhm.
not what you guys wanted to start as, but you had some really tough competitions off the get-go.
Yeah.
You even started with a very tough scrimmage against the Team USA.
Yeah. I mean, and that was one of the things too that we looked at as last year. We had a slow start as well, and it was kind of the same schedule out of the gate this year. But I think the guys like we just got together at one point, and I mean you can almost feel in a game, you're leading up to these games and you're losing. We won. I think we lost like 5 1-goal games, and I mean it's just like every game you're not getting the bounce, and then finally one game the tides turn, the momentum changes, and you start getting the bounces, and then things start to click, and confidence goes up, and attitudes go up, and just everything kind of starts rolling. And then I think ever since that's happened, we haven't really turned around. We just keep moving forward, like you said.
So Friday night you were in net,
Hmm.
possibly one of the biggest games in program history, being able to lock down the division title. You were in net and you got the 3-1 victory. What was kind of going through your head there pre-game and during the game?
I mean, yeah. I mean, definitely you're thinking about like what this game means for the school and the program and everything like that. But as a hockey player, I mean, you just have to look at it as another game. Like for me personally, I look at how hard everybody on our team has worked this year and how much effort and effort they've put into getting to where we are. And I mean, I don't want to be the guy to spoil that, so I just was like, hey, if I work my hardest, I'll hopefully give these guys a chance to win. And if they do what they usually do, then we should win. And I guess that's what happened.
So, something that's also been clicking, especially as of lately, has been the offense. CUW had a program record for power games with a power play goal. What's it like, especially having that senior class with you when you're in net? They're scoring so many points.
Yeah, no, they've definitely taken the charge. You can tell that those guys are great leaders on and off the ice. I mean, it's nice though. Maybe if we get a goal lead or we're down a goal, when you see those guys on the ice, like you have that confidence that you know when they get the puck, like there's always an opportunity that they're gonna create a chance, create momentum, or score a goal. So it's nice to see them on the ice and have that confidence. And I know that everybody on our team has that confidence in them as well.
So tomorrow, you guys host the quarterfinal round of the NCHA tournament. What's it like having the opportunity to play at home?
I mean, I think it's exciting. We've been fortunate enough to be able to have some students and fans come out to our games, which I know a couple of programs haven't had, and they've been incredible. Like the fans have been incredible. They've been so supportive. I remember I was talking to one of our captains actually this year. He came to a game, and he said, "Where was this my 4 years? Like, where was all the support kind of thing?" Because he was like, "This is awesome. Like, you guys have so many fans this year and all this stuff." So I mean, I think everybody's super excited for that. Just being able to be in the comfort of our own homes, eat some home cooked meals, get ready for the game like we usually do. I think it's a huge advantage, and that's what we've been working for all year.
Well, talking advantages, is it just like I know the trip to Marion and Lawrence isn't too bad,
Mhm.
but for Scholastica, getting on a bus and having that long of a bus ride for having to compete in a hockey game, how does that help you guys just being able to kind of do whatever you need to do, get ready how you need to do?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, they've got a good team up there. We were when we first played them, they were missing a couple guys that I think have come back and had some success this year. But I mean, the biggest thing, especially with a long road trip like that, like I think we'll have our feet underneath us early in the first period, and they'll be kind of having bus legs. So hopefully we can get out in front in the first and kind of just take it from there.
All right. We kind of talked about a little bit earlier in the show that you are the host of On the Bench with Beau.
Yeah.
How did this really come up?
I mean, it kind of goes back to the same thing of like fans and that kind of stuff. We wanted to do an Instagram, just kind of get a bunch of the students to follow and kind of give them updates on games and this kind of stuff. And then we just kind of got into we were like, what's something creative that we could start? Maybe some content that would maybe bring more viewers and engage more people. And we're like, why don't we get to know like the guys more? And I was like, hey, like we could do like some. We were gonna do actually. We were gonna do. It was called Tub Talks, like in the cold tub
Yep.
at the rink. But right now that's closed because of COVID. So we were like, what's something else that we could do? And then we kind of settled on the bench, and just kind of we're gonna go through everybody on the team, interview them, ask them some questions, get to know them better, so that all the viewers, instead of just looking at the guys as hockey players, can look at the guys as personalities as well.
So what is I've watched all 3 episodes over the last day.
Yeah.
What has been some of your favorite questions you've asked so far?
We've got some good ones. We've got, like I was telling you before, we've got a bank of I think about like 60 questions. I think some of my favorites are more like the goofier ones, or like who's the best style on the team, or just stuff like that, because it's kind of giving the guys shout outs. But some of the funnier ones, like would you rather fight one giraffe-sized duck or 100 duck-sized giraffes? That's always a funny one.
Well, and so I want to hear your, because that was actually one of the ones that stood out to me.
Yeah.
So what would you say for that?
It's a tough one. I think I've asked the question in 2 interviews now. One of them's not out yet, but we've gotten like both answers. I think if you want any chance at making it out of it, you got to go with 100 duck-sized giraffes, because I think one giraffe-sized duck is just too much to handle.
I think you might be right on
Yeah.
that. So,
Yeah.
so you've been now the interviewee and the interviewer. What do you prefer?
I think I would have to prefer the interviewer. I think it's just a lot less nerve-wracking, and it's a lot easier to just kind of relax and, you know what, put the pressure on the person answering the questions.
So any big surprise guests on the bench with Beau, calling any big wigs out?
No, I mean we've had. I don't know how many we've filmed at this point. We've had a couple answers that might stir up some controversy in the dressing room.
Oh boy.
Just a couple of jokes, just a couple quick stabs. But I mean, other than that, no, it's been good so far.
All right, so we'll leave you on how you leave your program. Do you want to have a battle of rock, paper, scissors to end off this segment?
Let's do it.
All right.
All right. Best of 3?
Best of 3, yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Ready?
Yep. 1 second, let me see. Okay, that's what I kind of did the math on what you've been doing.
Oh, so I might have to switch it up here.
All right.
All right.
Right.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Dang.
Oh, there it
All
is.
right, okay.
Oh, we went back.
All right.
There it is.
Beau takes this round of rock, paper, scissors. We'll be back talking women's hockey here on the Falcon Focus in our next segment. And welcome back for segment 2. We are talking women's hockey playoff action tonight. But first, we have to keep our tradition of spraying and making sure that we are all COVID friendly. Some hand sanitizer. Kristen, would you like some?
Yes, please.
All
Thank
right.
you.
We are COVID conscious here as we talk playoff hockey here with assistant coach Kristen Shivers. Coach, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
I'll start off with, how did your hockey career really start off?
My hockey career. Well, I grew up in Antioch, Illinois, which is just about an hour south of here, actually. So my grandpa played hockey. He really inspired me to get started and taught me the basics, the fundamentals. I grew up just learning to love the game, kept going, and finally just achieved my goal to play college hockey. So yeah, that's where I started and how I kind of got here.
All right. So you played at Elmira. You were an all-conference selection. You were an all-region selection. You were an all-academic selection. Your list went on and on and on. What were kind of some of your favorite memories you had playing there?
I think just the tradition of playing there. It's one of the pioneer Division III women's programs. So there's a lot of history along with Laura Hurd. She is the NCAA Player of the Year award was named after her. She still leads the Division III women's hockey in points after 20 years or so, and she tragically died shortly after graduating from Elmira. So that holds a lot of tradition, and I think that was a major key experience in playing there. But in my situation, it was my teammates, the competitive drive that we had, The camaraderie with our rivals. We played SUNY Plattsburgh. That was definitely a big rival for us. And yeah, you don't really remember a lot of the games, but you definitely remember some of those key moments with your teammates and those big memories.
We talked about all of your accolades that you had both on the ice and off the ice. What was it? How did you balance school being able to not only be an elite hockey player on the ice, but also an elite student?
Yeah, and that's a great question. Definitely a lot of hours in the rink and in the gym, but just making sure I balanced my time really well and leaning on some of my teammates that were in some of the same courses as me. We definitely got through it together. It wasn't easy at times, and sometimes it was even more of a struggle, but in terms of just balancing the school and the hockey, I think just time management skills, being competitive on and off the ice is huge as well, and making sure you get everything done. If it's watching hockey video, then it's watching hockey video. If it's studying, it's studying.
So, talking about your growing up through hockey, are there any players on the men's or women's side that you really looked up to growing up and be like, wow, I kind of want to model my game after them, or any teams that you liked growing up?
That's a great question. I can name one men and one women for sure. So I definitely looked up to Kendall Coyne growing up. She's from the Chicago area as well. So she was playing in college right when I was starting in high school. So her speed, her agility, her strength off the ice, she really showcased, and that was really inspiring to me as well. Somebody growing up near me was able to accomplish so much, and she's really kind of grown from there as well, making her steps in professional and all of that. On the men's side, Patrick Kane, he's my favorite player. I'm not sure I really modeled my game after him since I played defense, and he's definitely a scoring forward, but he's definitely fun to watch. I enjoyed growing up watching him on my screen.
So I take it you grew up a Blackhawks fan from being an Illinois native. They had quite the run a few years ago. What was it like being a fan during all of that?
It was, I mean, not a lot of words to explain it. My grandpa was friends with a lot of their big tradition players, Bobby Hull, Stan Mikita. So hearing his side of it and growing up with the team as well just kind of fueled my passion as a fan. And so I think in 2010 when they won that first cup, wow, like I still remember that moment. I was in my family room at home. I was probably only 10 years old, but I started crying. I was so happy because it's 40, I think it was 40 something years in the making. Yep. It was well deserved. It's a really great hockey community, and they've definitely grown from there.
So you are obviously on the coaching staff, year 2 here. When did you think coaching might be your go-to?
And that's a great question. I think throughout my years playing, I knew I wanted to be involved in hockey no matter what in this next step. I wanted to sort of bridge my playing career with my professional career. So I found a perfect fit here at Concordia, being able to study my MBA, kind of grow my business mindset and my coaching mindset as well, getting experience from Coach Fabilli and Coach Applebaum. And on top of that, just staying involved in hockey. We have a great group of girls, always keeping it interesting for us, and I've really, really enjoyed my time here.
Can you talk a little bit? You have some other extracurricular activities you participate in the area as well. You are staying very active. Can you tell the fans a little bit about what else you do?
Yeah, so it's kind of a funny story. So I used to kind of balance my training when I still played with spin classes. So when I moved here to Mequon, I just started taking spin classes because it was fun to me. I wasn't too into the weightlifting, even though you had to do it as part of your training regimen to get stronger when you were when I was playing. So I started riding for fun. A few months in, they were looking for instructors, and I was thinking, wow, I could really use something new, something fresh, something challenging in my life. So I decided to give it a go, and I started instructing spin October 2019, so about a year and a half now.
You talked about all the history and success Elmira's had. Concordia tonight is hosting their first ever home playoff game. What is it like to be a part of such a historical moment for such a younger program that's only is much younger than some of the more established programs?
I think it's an amazing moment. It's definitely an untraditional year. They know that. We've done quite a job navigating this pandemic and making sure that our girls still had the opportunity to participate and play, no matter if it was just practices or we even got about 16 games in the regular season, so that was huge. But being a younger team, I think we have amazing leadership on that front end. So senior Allie Hull, Maddie Savage, junior Emily Reimke, they've been an amazing group kind of setting that culture that we're looking for moving forward. And then just being a group that's amazingly coachable, fine-tuning those small details that are a huge factor in our success this season. So we're really excited to host our first playoff game, and I think it's going to be a good one.
So you talked a little about some of the players on the team. We have a lot of NCHA leaders, Allie Hall leading the conference in scoring, Tina leading defenders in scoring, Shay Peterson leading the conference in goals against average. What do you think really clicked for this team this year?
I mean, I think it's those fine details I mentioned. I think even those, just being able to make plays as well, getting to know your line mates better. I know Allie Hull, Emily Reimke, and Sarah Pearson have been huge for us offensively, but leaning on everybody to chip in and everybody knowing their role has just been a huge factor in our success. And Shay Peterson, I mean, what a year for her. We are so excited for her performance lately, and up to this year she hasn't had much opportunity for ice time, but she stepped into this role and made a huge positive outlook for our team, and she's been a great teammate. We're all really happy for her.
Well, and I know the goaltenders this weekend didn't face too many shots, but Shay really came up clutch, especially in the senior day shutout victory, where there were some breakaway opportunities for Lawrence, and she was able to stop those.
Yeah, her confidence has boosted a lot as of late, and we can all see it on the ice, and she's turning into a great solid goaltender that we need in this playoff push.
So we start the playoff push tonight against a well-known foe in Marion. This will be the 6th game of the season. The Falcons have taken all 5 of the previous meetings so far to date. But what are some of the pros and what are some of the cons of scouting a team that you've beat 5 times in a row, and then trying to play them for a 6th time, knowing that you know them and they know you?
Some pros, I think we've done our research, our studying, that being playing them so many times already, but even taking a short break with some conference series, we went back to the drawing table, we reviewed some film, reviewed their tendencies, so I think that's definitely a pro. We know what we're getting into. A con, it's playoff hockey. Anything can really happen. We are excited to be at home and have our home student fans in the stands, being able to have our families with our fan policy. That's been great. We're really looking forward to being in our home environment and getting the job done.
Well, thank you for joining us. Best of luck tonight, and hopefully into the weekend, and hopefully into next weekend as well. Thank you for joining us for this week's Falcon Focus. We will spring ahead next weekend and talk CUW spring sports. And don't forget to move your clocks forward this Sunday. Thank you for joining us. Jeremy Crawford filling in this week for the Falcon Focus.